festival in Belgium, and we have reached the finale of our festivities because it's time to meet up with the headline band, Whitesnake. Yes, they're back in Europe. I've got David and Adrian here. Welcome back to Europe. Welcome back to Headbangers Ball. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Looking forward to eating flies tonight.
Now, you've been doing quite a few shows in Europe, big festivals and
some clubs. Clubs and theatres, yeah. It's been, in essence, a fun tour.
Yes.
You know, that's precisely what it was supposed to be, and thank God it has worked out that way.
And did you start off with like a big show in Russia as well?
Yeah, it's a very interesting experience. It's very inspiring for us, and it makes you realize how lucky we are, you know, than being everywhere else.
Great fans in Russia, really fanatical, aren't they? Really enthusiastic.
They drink vodka like the English drink tea. So I came out of there marinated.
Now, you obviously got the greatest hits out at the moment, and I would imagine you're playing mainly a greatest hits type set.
Actually, no, this isn't a promo tour. It's far from it. That's just coincidence. Bullshit or not, it is coincidence. The disappointment for me is that this is more of a volume 2. In essence, it was a Geffen project. But it sounds pretty happening, you know, and it went straight in the chart in England, so obviously we've been missed as much as we've missed them.
Definitely.
But we're doing quite a mishmash tonight. Bit of fun, that's it.
Yeah, well, that's the most important thing, isn't it? Because if you don't have to worry about breaking in new material or anything.
Vodka. He lied.
Now, Whitesnake, 94, you've got Warren DeMartini on guitar. What sort of qualities were you looking for in a guitarist for this lineup?
Strictly a musician who would interpret the songs and respect the songs and not overplay the songs to the fact of, to the point of not knowing what the hell the song was. You know, it's Whitesnake's back into a kind of groove machine, whereas before it seemed to be a foundation for people to be as flash as they could, really. You know?
A bit more back to basics.
Yeah, back to blues rock, yeah.
Now, you've done some shows with Aerosmith as well, who are a fabulous band, one of the kind of few giants of the 80s to kind of survive this whole change in the rock scene that's occurred over the last 2 years, and as I'm sure you're aware of. What is your opinion of the current scene, and where do you feel that Whitesnake fits in?
Well, it's irrelevant whether Whitesnake fits in or not. We're going to do it whether we want, you know. The reception, the responses we've been having are extraordinarily favourable. Warms an old snake's heart. But in terms of being fashionable and all that stuff, I'm really not interested about that stuff anymore. Whitesnake plays songs that have a relevance in terms of emotional themes. The physical themes, I must be a little more careful now. It's a little more, certainly not a little, it's a lot more dangerous to exchange in any kind of casual exchange, whereas before it wasn't. Now it's your private parts turn black apparently and fall off, you know.
Well, I was going to say actually the kind of trend at the moment is very depressive, very down and pessimistic, and I'm sure, well, I feel that the response that Whitesnake's had maybe signals a return to a more optimistic, kind of more party attitude in rock.
Yeah, well, I think in essence, both Adrian and I agree on this, that that images grow old and musicians grow old, but songs have the immortality. It's the songs that live, and as long as we have the legs and the lungs to present them, and people want to enjoy them and sing along with them, why not? You know, leave the relevance. See, the youth should always have bands their age so they can identify and dress with or whatever. You know, that always must be, you know, but in essence it's songs, I think, that that breathe. We've been seeing 14, 15, 16-year-olds on this tour singing Here I Go Again, as remembering the words certainly better than I do.
Whitesnake Choir out in force.
Yes.
No, it's great to have some real stars like Steven Tyler, like yourself.
Oh, that's very kind.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk to David and Adrian some more, but right now we're going into the video that's really come off the Greatest Hits album. Brilliant track, classic all the way, Whitesnake, Is This Love? Well, we're still with the headline act here at Via Rock 94. Whitesnake, David and Adrian still with me. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Greatest Hits album. Actually, no, going back a bit, actually, I wanted to ask you, what factors kind of brought you to reform Whitesnake?
Well,
you'd kind of been because you'd kind of been on hold for about 4 years, haven't you, with the Coverdale page?
Yeah, I worked with Jimmy. The first I knew of this Greatest Hits, I was actually rehearsing with Jimmy in London last summer. And I received a cassette from the very informed record company Geffen, who said, "Hope you're enjoying your holiday," you know. And a cassette called Whitesnake's Greatest Hits. And I thought, oh, well, they're just trying to capitalize on the Coverdale Page thing. Then EMI heard about it and said they wanted to do it. And I was working with Adrian writing songs during a break from his project, Manic Eden. And I was invited to do the St. Petersburg thing, the Russian show. And Adrian said, well, who are you going to work with? I said, well, maybe, you know, get a session. I haven't got time to look for a band. Maybe a couple of session guys. And he said, at this time in our lives, why do we want to work with strangers or people we don't necessarily like? And it took me about 5 minutes to say, you're right, you know. And he said, well, I'll be in. We called Rudy. Rudy was there. Kamasi and I had a handshake agreement after Coverdale Page that we would work together on whatever. Rudy recommended Warren, and a former crew associate recommended Paul Merkovich, the keyboard player, who's far too good looking.
I'll look out for him. I'll look out for him. Why isn't he in the interview?
Well, actually, he's wearing a very questionable Prince Valium shirt tonight, so you may see him swanning around. Go away.
Could you give us a little bit of an insight into the tracks that have come up on the Greatest Hits album, because it only covers the last 3 albums?
Yeah, well, as I say, it's in essence a Geffen album. EMI and I spoke about getting hold of the original Whitesnake masters and doing Whitesnake the early years, and having Mike Fraser and I remix them, because everybody seems to have a CD nowadays. And I don't think, you know, we'd keep the essence, but give it a little more of a modern edge or technology or whatever. But nobody could find the 24 tracks, the original, so God forbid where they are, and my ex-manager with them.
Oh.
So that was, because in essence, this should be viewed really as volume 2.
Right. Well, thank you for explaining that. Good. Adrian, David mentioned that you've been working on some new material together. Why didn't any new tracks come up on the album? Are they going to be saved for something else?
Well, yeah, actually, you know, we are considering recording a new album, for this album, it was already hard enough to get all the good tracks that are there. You know, to get a selection out of that on one album was already pretty tough. And also, we thought, because the direction that we're working in right now is much more a little bit, you could call it back to Whitesnake's roots, before we got carried away a little bit into the American dream at the end of the 80s. We thought it would be a nice fresh thing to put them all on one album, instead of, you know, mixing them up with stuff that has been around for the last 10, 12 years. Well,
thanks for explaining that. We'll talk a little bit more about new material and future plans for Whitesnake after this break, but taking us into the break, we're going to show you a little tiny snippet of Whitesnake live on stage here at Via Rock Festival. See you after the break with more from Whitesnake.